Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fantasy Whiplash, brought to you by our good friends at State Farm, only right here on opensports.com. As always, I'm your host, Sid Rosenberg. If you're looking for fantasy advice, you're all in for a treat today. Joined by one of the very best fantasy experts out there, the great Jeff Erickson of RotoWire.com. Jeff, good afternoon, buddy. How are you?
Doing well, Fred. How are you?
I'm doing great. Nice to have you here today as baseball gets heating up here right by the All-Star break, and you're starting to find out now what guys are for real, what guys aren't. So let's get right to it here, Jeff. Major disappointment in Maglio Ordonez and Vladimir Guerrero, two of the best hitters in the game the last couple of years. They have really fallen apart. Now, on last week's show, Tom Herrera from AOL Fan House said Mags was a buy low candidate. Can either of these guys have a Carlos Delgado circa-like 2008 resurgence, or have age and injuries caught up with both of these guys?
Yeah, both can. Funny thing is about both these guys, you could say the same thing about David Ortiz about 3 weeks ago. Now he's had a little bit of a resurgence already. The only question is health. Vlad, we've got the pectoral injury and the off-season knee injury, and I think he's slow to recover from both of those. That might mean, though, that there's a good hope for some recovery in the second half. Mags, they haven't said anything, but I got to wonder, he's had all these problems with his knees in the past. Is that still part of the problem? Usually guys will decline at an age, and they will maybe even hit a cliff, but usually it's not so steep.
Not this steep, exactly. But let's go back to Vlad. You're just talking about Vlad here, Jeff. And I recently read a column of yours where you traded Vlad straight up for Jason Bartlett in an AL-only rotisserie league. Now, you admitted you may end up losing that trade, but in the long run, it would still be worth it. Tell us about your strategy and why others out there should be thinking the same way.
Sure. It's all about managing the categories. In my case here, I had tons of power. Even with getting one homer all year so far from Vlad, I was still leading in homers in the league, and I was still leading in RBI. So the fact is, I could afford to give up a little bit there. I was needing to gain a couple points in stolen bases. And the thing is, I kind of believe in Bartlett, too. It's the funny thing. Vlad could go nuts. He could get 20 homers in the second half. I don't think he'll do that much, but it's possible. It's plausible. But you know what? If I get what I need out of Jason Bartlett and I manage the categories right, good. I hope it works out because sometimes it's okay to quote unquote lose a trade as long as it's addressing what you need for your team. It's about managing the categories.
Jeff, let's move to the National League right now. A trio of players performing well below expectations. Jimmy Rollins hitting just .213 for the World Series champs. Russell Martin finally his first home run for the Dodgers over the weekend. And last year's NL Rookie of the Year, Giovanni Soto of the Cubs, all struggling here. Herrera did say last week that Soto may be a decent guy to pick up. You can buy him kind of low right now. What about these three guys? And do you think any of these three or all these three will actually turn it around in the second half?
Yeah, I target all three of them. In fact, we always preach buy low, sell high. It's really hard to do it. You have to buy the lowest. You really have to get them at the really bottom of their value to really get any sort of profit. But you look at the case of Russell Martin, he's still running at least. I know Tortora wrote him like Secretariat last year, but still, I think that there's still something left in there. He's not going to hit 20 homers. We know this, but maybe he'll get you 5 to 10 over the second half. Rollins did the same thing last year. He really got off to a terrible start last year, really came on strong, pretty much over the last 4 months of the season. I suspect that something's still left of him, too. Rollins was a guy who was drafted in top 10 pretty much overall in most drafts this year, certainly top 15. Now, you could still treat him like a top 15, top 20 player, and you'll probably still get him at a discount. So, yeah, I target all three of these guys.
All right, Jeff, let's take it to the mound. In Boston, Dice K goes to the DL. The all-time great John Smoltz coming back. I think he pitches Thursday night, and Clay Buchholz still waiting in the wings in Boston. Where does the value lie in the Red Sox rotation?
I'd take the chance on Smoltz. I'd take the chance on Buchholz, actually. Go grab Buchholz now before he gets called up. If you wait till he gets called up, it's going to be a lot more pricey. If you're allowed to speculate, a lot of leagues do this. You can pick up a minor leaguer. This is the time to buy on him. Don't wait until Brad Penny gets traded, because Penny is almost certainly going to get dealt or get hurt. I think those are the two options with him. Look at him the last couple of years. He's really worn down over the second half. We really worry about that shoulder. Buchholz is a guy, you grab him now, you play off that frustration of his owner that he hasn't been called up, play off Buchholz's frustration that he's kind of expressed with being stuck in Pawtucket. Now's the time to grab him.
I'll tell you the guy right now, if you're a fantasy player, I know you can't draft managers, but I got to tell you, Jeff, the guy that's made more of a difference than anybody, it seems like, inside the National League has been Jim Tracy. Here, Clint Hurdle has the Colorado Rockies in the World Series a couple of years ago. He gets canned earlier this year. Now it seems like the Rockies never lose. So at this point, grab yourself a Rockies pitcher, Colorado on a tear under Jim Tracy.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I think they're, 19-6 now, following the loss on Tuesday night. But, it's amazing how much some of these guys have caught fire. Now, one of the things you've noticed is Garrett Atkins has been absolutely buried. Ian Stewart's playing a lot. Now, Ian Stewart made 2 bad defensive plays that kind of contributed to the loss, so you want to see how much that changes. But a lot of these guys have caught fire. No greater than Troy Tulowitzki. The window on buying low on him is gone. He's back to being too low now. And I think but you want to look and see who's getting the playing time. One of the things that Tracy's done is kind of put some guys in regular spots and let them play.
Let me ask you about the Cardinal lineup here for a second. Obviously, Albert Pujols well on his way to another MVP and ripping it up with 26 home runs. Ludwig did it a home run against the Mets 2 nights ago, but really outside of Pujols, nobody hitting in that Cardinal lineup. It has been a bad stretch here for La Russa and the Cardinals offensively. Would you start looking at other guys in that lineup? It's just a matter of time before some of those guys have to heat up. Am I right, Jeff?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the guys you want to look at is rookie Coley Rasmus. Didn't hit for hardly any power initially, but he's had a pretty good June. Not a bad second half of May as well. The only problem is they've got 4 outfielders for 3 spots between Rasmus, Rick Ankiel, Ryan Ludwig, and Chris Duncan. Someone's got to sit every once in a while, and every once in a while that guy is Rasmus, especially when they face a lefty. So here's the thing. If the Cardinals are facing a left-handed pitcher and you have daily moves, it's a perfect guy to kind of tax. You get that extra outfielder, kind of maximize, kind of skim the cream off the top with him. But he's got a lot of potential, and I think more power is going to come out of him, and I think more stolen bases will come. So he's one guy I would invest in now.
All right, Jeff, we talked about the Red Sox starting pitchers here a little while ago. Let's go back to rotations and starters around the league. Possible guys you can pick up on the waiver wire right now. I know Pedro Martinez was pitching in the Dominican Republic, and a lot of questions about if Pedro can be effective on a regular basis in the major leagues. But the bigger question is, this guy, I believe, still wants $7-8 million a year. Who's going to be willing to give him that? Let's assume somebody is out there. Would you take a chance on a guy like Pedro Martinez for the second half?
Not only would I have already, I'm in the AL Tout Wars League. It's an expert league with some of the people in the industry, 12-team AL League. Took the chance that either a team like the Angels or the Tigers will take that chance on him. I think right now everybody that's backing away is doing this a bit as a negotiation play because of his monetary demands. But I think Pedro can help a team. And for the cost, it's going to be really cheap to go out and grab him right now, take that chance that someone signs him. If it doesn't work out in the next couple of weeks, fine, you cut him. But sure, speculate right now.
Quickly, hearing anything on Tom Glavine or Ben Sheets? What about those names?
Tom Glavine's done. I don't expect anything out of him. In fact, he's kind of hinted as such without officially retiring. Ben Sheets, the thing is, I wouldn't be surprised if actually his old club, the Brewers, takes a stab at him, maybe come in a month or so. They're going to make sure that he's fully healthy, but he's an interesting guy. The Rangers also might be in a play in that here because he works out down to Dallas.
Last one. Talk to me about closers here. Saves always tough to come by, Jeff. Anyone out there you can, at the very least, steal a few saves for fantasy owners? Give me a closer right now.
2 guys. You want to pay attention to see the health of Leo Nunez in his ankle, but Matt Lindstrom blew another save last night, and he's got an ERA over 6. Also, look at the Toronto Blue Jays, Jason Frazier. With Scott Downs out, Frazier is probably going to get most of those save chances, more so than Jeremy Accardo.
All right, we close it out every single week with this, Jeff. It's the OpenSports.com sleeper, fantasy sleeper of the week for next week. Who's your choice, Jeff?
Kyle Blanks, San Diego Padres, getting a lot of playing time. Right now, the Padres are in interleague play. They're going to Texas this weekend. He's going to play first base and DH and outfield. He's going to get a little time all over the place. He's a big boy. He doesn't really necessarily kind of look like he plays outfield, but with Adrian Gonzalez at first base, they have to try him in the outfield to see what they can get out of him. The power is legit. He's more agile than he looks, so give him a shot.
All right, there you go. Jeff, super job. Thanks for all the information, buddy. Terrific job here today. Let's get you back here before the end of the season. Thank you so much.
You bet. Take care.
You got it. Head on over, by the way, to RotoWire.com for some of the best fantasy info out there. You can also follow Jeff on Twitter at Jeff_Erickson. And be sure to check out his radio show, Fantasy Focus, over at blogtalkradio.com. Thanks again to Jeff. That's going to do it for this edition of Fantasy Whiplash, brought to you by our good friends at State Farm, only right here on OpenSports.com. I'm Sid Rosenberg. Be sure to come back on Friday as we go down on the farm to check in on Manny Ramirez's rehab assignment. Until then, enjoy the baseball.
The future of sports on the web is open.